Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم اهد قلبي وسدد لساني واسلل سخيمة قلبي آمين يا رب العالمين. Inshallah, we will continue with our study of Surah Al-Qasas. And today, inshallah, we will do a quick recap of what we did last time, and then we will carry on. So, inshallah, we will begin from verse number 24. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَسَقَى لَهُمَا ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى إِلَى الظِّلِّ فَقَالَ رَبِّ إِنِّي لِمَا أَنزَلْتَ إِلَيَّ مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَقِيرٌ. Musa alayhi salam, when he reached Madian, and he found a group of people at their watering place, perhaps it was a well, and there were lots of shepherds who were drawing water out of the well for their flocks. But over there, he noticed that there were two women who were keeping their flocks away. So Musa alayhi salam went and asked them that, what is the matter? How come you're not letting your animals drink? So they said that we just wait for the men to leave before we take our flocks. So Musa alayhi salam took their sheep, and Musa alayhi salam drew water out for them, and he gave the sheep the water to drink, and then he took the sheep back to the two ladies, and then he went back to the shade and he made dua. And what was this dua? Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir, that, oh my Lord, indeed I am for whatever good you would send down to me in need. And he uses the word faqir to describe himself. Faqir is from faqr, and faqr is poverty. Basically, faqr is when a person has nothing with them. So he describes his condition as that of a faqir. That, Ya Rab, I have nothing, and I am ready to take anything good that you send my way. So Musa alayhi salam basically expresses any extreme humility over here. You see, sometimes there are people who are in need, but they're also very particular about what they're willing to take. They won't accept anything, just anything that is offered to them. They're very particular, and they're very specific that, yes, I am in need, but I want, this much or this particular thing. But there are some other people who, when they're in need, they're willing to take anything. They will even take your leftover food, or extremely old clothes, or clothes that are not, in a good condition. And of course, when we are giving, we have been taught the etiquette that only give what you would also be willing to receive yourself. But that's not the discussion over here. The point is that there are different types of people, or different types of beggars. There are those beggars who are just willing to take anything. And then there are those beggars who are very particular about what they're willing to take. Musa alayhi salam shows extreme humility over here. And basically, he is saying that I am willing to take anything good that you send my way. Basically, what he's saying is, I am desperate. And he exhibits this great need before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But notice that Musa alayhi salam, he realizes that he is in extreme need, but at the same time, he has that sense of self-worth. You see, sometimes we think that we have worth only if we have certain things in life, right? That only if we have, a certain car, or a certain amount of money, or a certain physical appearance, or, we are wearing something, then only we have self-worth. We define self-worth by our, worldly possessions, or certain circumstances that we think are good. But Musa alayhi salam, even though he has nothing, look at the self-worth he has, or how positively he thinks about himself, that yes, he doesn't have much, but he has the ability to help other people. And when he sees that these two women are in need, he doesn't just say that, what could I do? I'm a stranger here, or I'm a complete loser. No, he has that sense of self-worth. He has that sense that, I'm still capable of doing what I can. And this is something that we should remember, that even if the odds are not in our favor, even if we have suffered a huge loss, even if our resources are extremely limited, things are not the way we would like them to be, we should still focus on, or feel and appreciate the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And when we appreciate those blessings and we use them well, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promise is that لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, that surely if you're grateful, I will increase for you, meaning I will increase the blessings for you. So we see over here that Musa alayhi salam, he uses, even though he is faqir before Allah, he doesn't act like he is useless. He doesn't act like he is completely incapable. No, he does whatever is within his capacity. And this is what we are required to do. That, or rather, this is what is expected of us, that we focus on what we can do, not just on our inabilities and our limitations. So Musa alayhi salam makes this dua, and in the following verses we will see how quickly his dua is responded to, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him so much good. Then what happened? فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ. Then one of the two women came to him walking with extreme shyness, and we discussed this before, that the way she carried herself, she reflected a great deal of haya. And like a lot of mufassirun have said, that this means that she was literally covering her face because she was going to speak to a man. So she didn't just go openly. No, she covered her face when she was talking to him. And then قالت إن أبي يدعوك ليجزيك أجر ما سقيت لنا. She said, indeed my father invites you that he may reward you for having watered for us. Yani, you watered our animals for us, so my father wants to pay you. He wants to compensate you. Now the word liyajziyaka, this is from jaza, jim zayya, and jaza is wages or reward. So my father wants to give you wages, reward you for the favor that you showed us. So it's not that my father wants to give you some charity. No, my father wants to compensate you because you initiated the ihsan, right? You watered our animals for us, and this is why my father wants to compensate you. And ma saqaita is from sin qafiyah, and suqya is to give water. The same from the same root, you have words that mean irrigating the land or giving water to people to drink. And here it was that he gave the water to the animals, meaning to the sheep that belonged to these women. And perhaps because Musa alayhi salam, he watered the animals for them, they returned home sooner than expected. And this is when their father inquired that how come you're home so early? So when they informed him, he said, call that man. And then فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ وَقَصَّ عَلَيْهِ الْقَصَص. Now, one thing is that these people, the father and his two daughters, we see their dignity also over here. That someone, a stranger helped them, but they did not just, take that help for granted. In the sense that they didn't just say, oh, nice of that man, good person. Not just that. They truly appreciated his ihsan, and this is why they wanted to compensate him. And this is from prophetic character, actually. We see that even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was willing to receive the help and the gifts, etc., that his companions offered him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he would not take that for granted. He would always reciprocate in one way or another. There are times when, when he bought something, when he took something from someone, he actually paid the price because that was the agreement. Like, for example, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he bargained with Jabir radiallahu anhu that sell your camel to me. And eventually, when they agreed upon a price, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually gave that price, right? Then we see that even when it comes to the land that was taken for Masjid al-Nabawi, even though the people wanted to give it as a charity, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he set a price and it was paid. But there are other times when things were given to him as a gift, and he received that as a gift also. When people were especially helpful to him, especially supportive, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam praised them publicly. So this shows us that when people do us favors, we should not just take them for granted, whether those people are family or their friends or they are strangers. Reciprocate in one way or another. You might not be able to fully compensate them for the favor that they have shown you, but at least we can say a thank you, or we can praise them, right? Or we can, make dua for them. Now, of course, when we are, helping other people, that should be entirely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is not where we set conditions that, I will only do this for you if you make dua for me. I will only do this for you, if you do such and such to me, for me. Don't do favor in order to demand a favor in return. However, when someone does a favor to you, then don't take that for granted. When it comes to the care and the love and the support that your parents show you, thank them for it, appreciate them for it. Don't take that for granted, that you go into the kitchen, you just eat your food, you leave your dishes at the table, that someone is just going to come and take care of them, or that you're every month you're taking money, your father is paying for your car insurance, for the gas, etc., and you're never looking at your father with respect. Taking all of that help and all of that care and financial support for granted, this is something that does not befit a humble servant of Allah. So reciprocate in some way, with whatever tawfiq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Use your words, use your actions, in whatever way possible, reciprocate. And then what happened? فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُ وَقَصَّ عَلَيْهِ الْقَصَص. When Musa alayhi salam came to the father of these two women, and قَصَّ عَلَيْهِ الْقَصَص, he related to him the entire story. Which story? His story from the beginning, and his story of the events that happened in Egypt, because of which he had to flee from there, and how he ended up in Madian. He told him the entire story. Now the word qasas, both of these words are from the root qaf sad sad, and qassa is he narrated a story, okay, and qasas is a story or that which is narrated. So he told him the entire account, about the accidental murder and his fear of Fir'aun, etc. So the father, he said, قَالَ لَا تَخَفْ. He said, do not be afraid. نَجَوْتَ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. You have escaped from the wrongdoing people. Now the word najawta, this is from najat, nun jim waw is the root, and najat is to be is to be saved. Basically, the primary meaning of the word is a high place. So when a person flees to a higher place, then what happens is that they have escaped whatever difficulty was there, for example, in the ground below. Also, najawta, this is najwa is from the same root. Najwa is a private conversation. So when someone brings them close to you, they have kind of in order to speak to you privately, they have removed you, or they have taken you away from the rest of the people. So najawta, you have escaped the difficulty that you were in. You have escaped the fear or the danger that you were in. And how is it that Musa alayhi salam had escaped that danger? Because he was no longer in the land of Egypt. Fir'aun did not have any rule or power in Madian. So this man, the father of the two women, he comforted Musa alayhi salam. And he gave him that assurance, and he basically was trying to mend his broken heart. Musa alayhi salam was afraid, he was worried, he was lost. So this man comforted Musa alayhi salam in such a beautiful way. لا تخف نجوت من القوم الظالمين. ظالمين is the plural of ظالم, and ظالم is someone who does wrong, someone who commits oppression. And القوم الظالمين, the entire nation of Fir'aun, was a nation of oppressors. Because remember that a ruler or a king, no matter how evil he is, he cannot cause harm to others unless and until his subjects cooperate with him, or the people who are working with him actually listen to his orders. So the entire nation was a nation of ظالمين. And why is it that he describes them as ظالمين, as oppressors? Because they were not being fair with the Bani Israel. And here, where Musa alayhi salam made a mistake, they were not going to be fair with him either. So he comforts him that نَجَوْتَ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Now, one thing that we should appreciate over here is that Musa alayhi salam, he told him his entire story, right? He was very honest with him. He was very upfront with him. And this is the habit of truthful people, that a person who is truthful will be truthful in all circumstances, right? Sometimes what happens is that if a person comes across someone who is completely unfamiliar with their life, then a person gives a false image that I am so this and I am so that, a false image in order to impress other people. And this is where people will try to hide their faults, or they will give a completely different image of the reality. So Musa alayhi salam is not like that. He tells him the entire story. He tells him about the accidental murder. He tells him about what caused him to flee, to leave Egypt, and how he ended up in Madian. And this truthfulness is actually something very, very attractive. You see, sometimes when we are meeting people, for example, a potential spouse, or their family, or for example a new employer or a new business partner, etc., we want to give a very good impression. And we think that being honest or being transparent means being weak, right? Because we look at our flaws as, of course, there are imperfections, but we think that they make us less worthy. And because of that, we try to change the truth, or we try to hide the truth. We try to cover it up. People lie about their age. People lie about their financial position. People lie about their work ethic. People lie about their family. People lie about so many things. And where there is dishonesty, remember, there can never be any trust. And where people will not be able to trust one another, how could a relationship thrive over there? So, things happen in life, mistakes happen. Also, Musa alayhi salam had made a huge mistake over here. It was accidental murder. And likewise, there are, parts of our lives which we may think are not that beautiful, but embrace, your qadr. Embrace your decree, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for you, whether it is something regarding your health, or it is something regarding your financial position. Be honest with people. And when you're honest, it shows that you are trusting and that you want to be trusted. It shows that you are, when you're honest, this is something that is actually very, very attractive. It's something that makes a person beautiful. But when a person is trying to cover up, pretend, do this takalluf, be pretentious, then this is something that people do not find beautiful. People become wary over there. So Musa alayhi salam was extremely honest over here, and this is something that spoke a lot about his character. His entire personality was so beautiful. He was helpful, he was strong, he was honest. So what happened? قالت إحداهما, one of the women, one of the daughters of this man, she said, Ya abati, O my father, istajirhu, you should hire him. She is the one who is suggesting to her father that, oh my father, hire this man, istajirhu. And istajirhu is from Hamza Jim Ra. I mentioned to you earlier, ajr is a wage, right, or a payment that is given to someone. And istijar is to hire someone in return for some wages. It is that you employ someone for some work on the condition that, they will do the work and you will pay them. So she says to her father that, oh, my father, hire this man. Why? Because clearly this man has nowhere to go and we are also in need. And this man is actually a very good candidate because inna khayra man istajarta al-qawiyyu al-amin. Indeed, the best one you can hire is someone who is strong and trustworthy. And for a person like you who is old, right, who has two daughters, you need someone who is qawi and who is amin. Someone who is strong, who is capable of doing this difficult work, because tending to sheep is not something easy. And amin, trustworthy. Someone whom you can rely upon, someone who's not going to cheat, who's not going to, exploit you, because you are old, you are weak, you have daughters, right? So you don't want someone who will just run away with your flock or who will cause harm to you or your family. So in your position, someone al-qawiyul amin is perfect. Now, one thing that is interesting over here is that as a daughter, she is giving, this suggestion to her father, right? Some people think that a woman's voice is only good in the kitchen, right? Or when it comes to housework, or when it comes to, children, etc. Now, this is a matter of, their family business. This is a matter of hiring someone potentially. And she is giving her suggestion. She feels safe enough to give her suggestion. And her suggestion is excellent, right? Hire this man, right? This will benefit us and it will also benefit him. And he's the perfect candidate. So we shouldn't be, so so arrogant that a lot of people, because of their cultural background, because of their thinking, they just completely disregard anything that women say, right? And this is unfortunately common and unfortunately very sad, because why be biased against someone just because of their gender? Consider what they're saying, right? There can be women who are far more intelligent than men, and of course there can be men who are very intelligent. And it's not the gender of a person that defines their their intelligence. It is their experience, their expertise, their knowledge. And these women, of course, they were working women. They knew the nature of this work. They had a lot of experience, right? They were very, familiar with with their circumstances, with the position of their father, and so this suggestion was truly very good. It was excellent, right? It was a win-win situation for both parties, right? So she says, "Inna khayra man istajarta al-qawiyyu al-amin." Now, we discussed this earlier also, that when it comes to employing someone or asking someone to do some work, selecting someone for a task, then it's necessary that we examine these two qualities. That do they possess these two qualities or not? Which qualities? First of all, the quality of quwwah, and secondly, the quality of amana. Quwwah, strength, right? Being capable of doing the required work. And this means physical strength, but also other types of strength, depending on what the nature of the work is. Are they capable of doing the work? Are they qualified to do the work? And Musa alayhi salam had clearly shown his strength, right? His strength was evident by how he took the flock and he drew the water out of the well and he gave the water to the flock and he returned the animals. And before that, also the way he came from Egypt all the way to Madian, the way he accidentally killed someone, he just punched him. He didn't intend to kill him, but a punch, was enough to kill that man. And his quwwah was very evident. And secondly, his trustworthiness, right? His amana was also very evident, right? How he was very committed and loyal. That first of all, we see that he even though he was raised by Fir'aun's family, he did not abandon the Bani Israel. He didn't belittle them. He didn't turn against them. He actually tried to help them whenever he could. And this is the reason why when the two men were fighting, he went to help. And then we see his trustworthiness in the sense that he took the flock and he returned it, right? And specifically the fact that he was dealing with two women, right? And the way that he interacted with them was so honorable. You see, Musa alayhi salam, he showed no khiyana at all, no khiyana. And a woman knows from the way that a man is looking at her. A woman can tell what kind of a man it is, where the eyes are wandering, where the eyes are going, right? And how is this man talking? Because some men, they will flirt under the guise of religiosity, right? They're clearly flirting, but they're pretending to be super religious. Musa alayhi salam was not like that. Musa alayhi salam, very, straightforward, to the point. He came and asked, what's the matter? And when the women told him, he went straight to business. He took the animals, watered them, returned the animals, and then he went and sat in the shade, right? So this woman knew that Musa alayhi salam, he had no khiyana even in his eyes. So if he had no khiyana in his eyes, then this means that he would have no khiyana in other matters either. So the person who is worth hiring, the person who is worth getting in a long-term work relationship with, is someone who possesses strength and someone who possesses amana. And remember that when a person fails to do their work, then it is because they lack one or both of these qualities. Either they don't know what they're doing. They don't have the strength. They don't have that capacity. They lack the skills to do the work. Or they have the skills, but they're not trustworthy, right? They do khiyana. And it's because of these reasons that they're not able to, do their work. So ourselves also, we should, reflect over ourselves and see that any work that I am willing to take, do I have the necessary strength for it? Do I possess the quwwah in order to do that work? And secondly, am I willing to be trustworthy over here and completely honest over here? That which means that if I do make a mistake, I admit, I confess, right? Not that I throw it on other people. And where people act like this, that the mistake is theirs, but they put it on others, then such people are not worth working with. Because today they're putting one person under the bus, tomorrow they're going to put someone else under the bus. And this is only going to affect the work. So Musa alayhi salam possessed both of these qualities. And so this woman suggested to her father, hire him. And it seems like the father really liked that idea, because Musa alayhi salam, he would benefit from this, and they as a family would also benefit. However, being realistic, this man had two daughters, unmarried daughters who are young. And here is a man who is also single, right? Unmarried. And if he was to hire, this man, Musa alayhi salam, if he was to hire him, and here are his daughters, yani you're just waiting for some problem to happen, right? You're just waiting for some problem to happen because it's unrealistic to expect young people to remain chaste while they remain unmarried and people from the opposite gender are constantly in their face. So this man, very intelligent, he said, قال إني أريد أن أنكحك إحدى ابنتي هاتين. He said to Musa alayhi salam that إني أريد, I want, أن أنكحك, that I should wed you, I should have you marry, who إحدى ابنتي, one of my two daughters, هاتين, these two. Yani, I want you to marry one of my two daughters. Why does he begin with marriage? Because, of course, like I mentioned earlier, it would be very dangerous to the, uh, to the soul, right? Of not just, this young man whom they were inviting into their family, but also, his daughters. That it's unfair that you constantly put young people, unmarried people, in situations where there are, people from the opposite gender constantly in their face, but they have no, uh, uh, you know, they're not married, and this is a constant fitna for them, right? This is a constant source of trial for them, constant source of tribulation for them. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ encouraged young people to get married. In the Quran also we learn, وَأَنْكِحُوا الْأَيَامَ مِنْكُمْ, that when it comes to the singles among you, get them married. So we think marriage is only when your career is completely established, your business is completely established, you have completed your degree, etc. You are independent, etc. Then you should get married. And yes, that is excellent that you are completely independent, and then you get married. That is ideal, that is excellent. However, if there is an opportunity where you find a good person, then why delay unnecessarily? Yes, it can be a little challenging to, be married and still focus on your education or on your work. But being married at the same time is also very helpful because it keeps you grounded. It's one thing that you want to do in your life, right? So it's off of your list now, right? You're not constantly worried about, oh, who am I going to marry? Am I going to find Mr. Right or Miss Right, et cetera, et cetera. So it's something that is a part of life, right? And if you find a good, suitable person, then why refuse, right? And we see over here that Musa alayhi salam was not Mr. Perfect at this point. Musa alayhi salam was who? He was a refugee, right? He had fled Egypt. He was hiding in Madian, right? He had committed, accidental murder. He was fleeing charges, basically. And that's because he knew he was not going to get a fair trial. Fir'aun had already decided to kill him, right? Musa alayhi salam was not financially stable. He was not financially independent. And he was from the Bani Israel, who were a slave nation at the time. So, what did he have? What was his family background? This father, he looked at the qualities of Musa alayhi salam, right? He looked at his present condition. And this is important, that when you're looking for a potential spouse, you look at who they are at the moment. Sometimes what happens is that people get stuck in their past, that 15 years ago he did this or she did that, 10 years ago he did this, she did that. No, look at how they are at the moment, right? What is their present condition? Don't judge them for who they used to be, for who they were. And secondly, do not judge them for what they might become in the future, because this is also a huge mistake that people make. that when they are thinking of getting married to someone, they keep thinking of, okay, he's not that religious, but what if he becomes religious, right? Yes, she doesn't wear hijab, but you know what, I will force her to, I will tell her to, and she will listen to me, right? Don't do that to people. Accept them for who they are at the moment. Yes, you want, inshallah, that they will become better in the future, but that's what you're thinking. That's what you're hoping for, right? You don't know who they might become. And there are people who are extremely religious at the time that you marry them, or at the time that you meet them, but then down the road, what happens? Things change, right? We learn about Habiba radiallahu anha. She was married. Her and her husband, they both embraced Islam, and things became extremely difficult in Mecca, so they migrated to Abyssinia. And Abyssinia was a land of Christians, a land where there was alcohol, etc. And so her husband fell into, bad habits, and he actually left Islam. Subhanallah, he left Islam. Someone who made hijrah once upon a time ended up leaving Islam. So these things happen. So when you're looking for, a potential spouse, please don't judge them for who they were and who they might become in the future. Right? Judge them on their present condition. Right? And when you look at the present condition of Musa alayhi salam over here, he had shown a great amount of quwwah and also amana, right? He had been honest. And so because of these qualities, the father of these two girls really liked him. And so he said, Inni uridu an unkihaka ihda ibnatayya hatayn. Another thing we can see over here is that the father is making the marriage proposal. And in many cultures, this is something that is disliked. A man can have his daughter sitting at home who actually want to get married, who are asking their father to find someone, but the father does not want to because it's against his honor, it's against his pride, and this is something that is not from our religion. This is something cultural. So here, this father has no hesitation in asking a good man. He sees a good man and he asks him that, I want you to get married to one of my two daughters. And of course, he says one because it's not correct that a man marries two sisters at the same time. But then, of course, Musa alayhi salam, he doesn't have any financial stability. So how is he supposed to, provide, etc.? So the father, he says, "Ala an ta'jurani thamaniya hijaj," on the condition that you serve me for 8 years, that you work for me, meaning you are employed by me for 8 years, on the condition. And he says, فَإِنْ أَتْمَمْتَ عَشْرًا, but if you complete 10, meaning instead of 8, you complete 10, فَمِنْ عِنْدِكَ, then it will be from you, meaning it is completely up to you. I want 8 minimum. Now, firstly, we see that he is setting a condition over here, that I would like you to marry one of my two daughters on such and such condition. And this is something completely permissible, that at the time of nikah, it is completely permissible to set reasonable conditions. Okay, a woman can set those conditions, the man can set the conditions, the wali of the woman can set the conditions. As long as those conditions are reasonable, that is something permissible. And of course, people's circumstances vary, and it is good to set these conditions in order to be clear. For example, if the father of these two girls would say that, I would like you to marry one of my two daughters, and Musa alayhi salam agrees, they get married, and then after that he says, no, but you have to stay with us. You can't go anywhere, right? That would cause problems. If you have any expectations, whether it is with regard to, schooling, education, or work, or, living conditions, etc., make them clear. For example, if a woman wants to make sure that she is living in her own, house, apartment with her husband, not with other family, she should make that clear. And the wali, the father, is the one who should clarify that. Not that after the wedding, now after the marriage, there's, the girl is just upset in that, this is what I expected. this is what I thought. And the guy says, well, you never asked me. Why have expectations that are not communicated clearly? A lot of times what happens is that at the time of the marriage, these expectations are not communicated. And then afterwards, there are, there is disappointment, there is anger, there is frustration, there are expectations that are never fulfilled. And this is something that affects the marriage. So it's important that whatever concerns you have, whatever goals you have, you make them clear to your potential spouse. That I intend to study, for example. I intend to work, for example. I intend to live here, for example. Make those things very, very clear so that later on there are no surprises and no disappointments. And of course, if you have none, then that is also fine. But where you do, then make sure you get them clear. So the father communicates very clearly. He says, these are the conditions. I want you to work for me for 8 years. Now, is he saying this because, he is kind of selling his daughter to Musa alayhi salam? No. You see, when a man marries a woman, he is obligated to financially provide for her, right? Musa alayhi salam had nothing. So if he were to get married and then tomorrow leave, where are they going, right? And how is it that Musa alayhi salam is supposed to provide for his family, right? And also, Musa alayhi salam was a very capable person, but at the moment he had nothing. All he needed was some kind of help and support. So a lot of times it happens that there are young men who are very capable, but they need some help, right? They need some guidance. They need a mentor, someone to tell them that, you know what, you work for me, or you work in this business. And, I will invest in your business. I can employ you for this work, etc. Young men, where they are obligated to financially provide for their families, for their wives, at the same time, they need some kind of guidance, some kind of help to be able to stand on their feet. Everyone is not, so privileged that they come from a very, financially stable background, or that their current situation is perfect, that they have, job security, etc. Sometimes they need that help, they need that guidance. And if, for example, the girl's father is in a position to help him, then why not? Why be arrogant over here, and why expect so much? And you think about your own youth, right? Think about when you were a recent graduate, when you were struggling to find a job, when you were struggling to be more financially independent. You struggled, and if you are in a position to help someone today, then why not help them? But some people make this a matter of their ego, right? That no, if he is to marry my daughter, he better be financially strong. He better be like this. He better be like that. And like this, people lose good opportunities. So here, the father of the two women, he sets a condition that you work for me for 8 years. And of course, if Musa alayhi salam were to work for him for 8 years, then what would happen? Musa alayhi salam would have a place, he would have a family, and this family would also benefit from his presence, from his hard work. But he gives him the option that 8 years, and if you want, you can complete them as 10. Now, the word that is used for years over here, hijaj. Hijaj is the plural of the word hijjah. And hijjah, generally understood as a year. Why? Because Hajj is once a year, and so 8 lunar years, because Hajj is once a year, so 8 lunar years. And this shows us that Hajj was, of course, performed at that time. Remember that Ibrahim alayhi salam, who came years and years before Musa alayhi salam, because Musa alayhi salam is from the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam is the one who initiated the Hajj, right? So this shows us that Hajj existed at the time. People went and did Hajj. So Taimiyyah Hijaj means 8 lunar years. Secondly, Others have said that ثمانية hijjah actually means a season or time of harvest, you could say. So if for example someone had a farm, 8 hijjah would mean 8 harvests. Okay, but because these people were owners of sheep or animals, this would mean 8 generations of sheep. Okay, meaning you work for me until this flock is replaced by another flock, which is replaced by the next one until 8. Okay, 8 or 10, regardless of what exactly the duration of these hijaj was. The point is that a term was fixed, right? An agreement, or very clearly, the man communicated that I want you to stay with me and work for me for this long. And if you make that 10, then that is a favor from you, and I would appreciate that. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَشُقَّ عَلَيْكَ, and I do not wish to put you in difficulty. Now, you see, the father was agreeing that Musa alayhi salam could offer his services, his work as mahr. Okay, and remember that sometimes people are in a position to give something monetary, something that has money or gold or a house, property, something like that, something tangible as mahr. But other times they're not in a position to do that. So a man at the time of marriage must give something to the wife, right? Of course, the mahr goes to the wife. It doesn't go to her father or her uncles or her brothers. No, it is for her. That is the concept of mahr. Okay. And Musa alayhi salam was not able to give anything tangible, but he was able to work, right? And so this is why the father suggested that you work for me for 8 years or 10. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَشُقَّ عَلَيْكَ, and I do not wish to put you in difficulty. Now, ashukka, shaqqa is to split something, and shaqqa alay is to impose on someone something which is burdensome. Okay, so he says, I do not wish to ashukka alayk. I do not intend to impose you with what is burdensome, with what is, going to cause you distress, what is going to inconvenience you, what is going to be very difficult for you. And this can mean two things. This can mean, first of all, that I don't force you to work for 10 years. Okay, 8 is also fine. Right? 8 is the minimum, and beyond that, whatever you do, that is your choice. Secondly, this can also mean that I don't want to hire you in order to make you do very difficult work, meaning I'm not going to exploit you. I'm not going to be extremely difficult with you. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ أَشُقَّ عَلَيْكَ سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. سَتَجِدُنِي, you will find me, if Allah wills, مِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ, among the righteous. Meaning, inshallah, if Allah wills, you will find me to be righteous. So this shows us that a righteous person is not just someone who is praying and making dhikr and fasting, etc. A righteous person is also righteous in their dealings. So the father says that inshallah you will find me to be of the righteous, meaning I will be good to you. I'm not going to exploit you. I'm not going to make your life difficult and miserable. Insha'Allah, things will be good. So Musa alayhi salam, this offer was a very good, reasonable offer, very fair and beneficial for both parties. قَالَ ذَلِكَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكَ. Musa alayhi salam said, that is between me and you, meaning I accept, right? I accept. أَيَّمَا الْأَجَلَيْنِ قَضَيْتُ, whichever of the two terms I complete. Ajalain is the dual of ajal. Ajal is a specific period of time. So either of the two terms that I fulfill, whether it is 8 or 10, then فَلَا عُدْوَانَ عَلَيَّ, there is no injustice to me at all. I don't see that either of these are unfair. You see, udwan is aggression. Okay, this is from the root ayn dal waw. It is injustice, to do what is harmful. to another, to do what is unfair to another. So he says that I don't find either of the two terms to be unfair. And if I work for 8 years, that's reasonable. And if I work for 10, even that is reasonable. Musa alayhi salam was okay with that. And then he said, Wallahu ala ma naqulu wakil, and Allah over what we say is wakil. Wakil means two things. Wakil is basically, it's from the root waw kaf lam, and wakil is someone who is relied upon, right? So trustee. And Allah is wakil over what we say. And we are making this agreement and we put our trust in Allah. We know that He is watching over us and we rely upon Him. And secondly, wakil also means witness, shaheed. Whatever that we are saying, you are saying that you are not going to be, you're not going to oppress me. You are not going to impose very hard work on me. And you're saying that you will be good to me. And I am saying that I will marry your daughter on the condition that I will fulfill, that I will work for you for 8 or 10 years. Then whatever we are saying, Allah is a witness over that. Meaning we make this agreement knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what we are agreeing upon and that He will hold us accountable. Our return is to Him. And this is important to remember when any agreement or contract is being made, even when it comes to a marriage. Unfortunately, a lot of promises are made at the time of the marriage, but then afterwards, people completely, they act as though they never gave their word, and this is extremely unfair. This shows that a person does not fear Allah. And so often, women are told that, okay, we'll get married now. 2 years later, we'll move into, that city or into our own place. Or yes, you can work. Yes, you can study. Yes, you can do that. But then right after the marriage, the woman is told, no, you cannot work. You cannot study. You cannot do this. You cannot do that. And this is unfair. Once you gave your word, fulfill it. And wallahu ala ma naqulu wakil. Likewise, when it comes to hiring someone, then whatever wages that you agreed upon, make sure you pay them. Whatever compensation you agreed upon, make sure you carry through. In a hadith we learned, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I will be against 3 persons on the day of judgment. First of all, the person who makes a covenant in my name, but then he proves treacherous. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take revenge from this person himself. Secondly, the person who sells a free man, meaning he captures him, sells him as a slave, and then enjoys the price. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will himself take revenge from such a tyrant. And thirdly, the person who employs a laborer and gets the full work done by him, but does not pay him his wages. And this is extremely dangerous. Yes, a person is able to take advantage of, the weak today, and a person is able to, enjoy momentarily, but Allah will be against such a person on the day of judgment. So how could a person like this ever succeed? So the marriage, the agreements, whatever the father said, Musa alayhi salam agreed, and so the contract was made. This was basically the nikah, because a nikah is what? A proposal and its acceptance, right? The mahr was set, there was ijab, qubul, and Musa alayhi salam is now married, mashallah. And where is he living now? He is living with his in-laws. And this is something that a lot of people, find strange. That first of all, the very concept of living with in-laws is something that people do not like. Whereas in certain circumstances, it can actually be very good for both parties, for the couple who is married and also the family that they're living with, whether it is the girl's family or the man's family. Living with in-laws is not something haram. It is not something unlawful. However, it is not something fard either. This is not something that is obligatory either. Because in certain cultures, living with in-laws is considered the norm. And if, God forbid, the woman says that, no, I want to live on my own, then this is taken as, how dare she, and how disrespectful of her. Yani living with in-laws is neither an obligation, nor is it, it's something forbidden. It completely depends on the circumstances and what the couple agrees on. And both the husband and the wife should be happy with that living arrangement. Remember that if a woman does not feel secure, she does not feel happy in an arrangement like that where she's living with her in-laws, then the man must provide her a space where she feels that she has freedom, where she feels that, yes, this is my own space. And every woman deserves that. um, However, in some circumstances, it is actually very beneficial, right? So both, it needs to be seen. Is the wife happy with that? Is the husband happy with that? And for a man also to live with his in-laws is not something forbidden, right? It can actually be very beneficial. So, for example, over here, these two women, their father was old. If she was to leave him, yani who would take care of him, right? So it worked in their favor. And secondly, we see over here that it's so beautiful that how Musa alayhi salam had certain needs, right? And this family also had certain needs. And, both were fine on their own in the sense that they were surviving. But when they agreed to, they agreed to enter this bond of marriage, then we see that both were so beneficial for each other, which shows us that no human being is perfect, right? Each human being, each person has their own weaknesses and their own imperfections. And this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us, right? That we have our imperfections, we have our weaknesses. And sometimes the weakness of one is the strength of another, right? The void in one can actually be fulfilled by another. And it is because we are imperfect, it is because of this reason that we need one another. And when we need one another, when we live with one another, then of course we have to put up with each other, right? We have to be forgiving, and we have to be, gentle, and we have to overlook the mistakes of people. Of course, where there is injustice, that is a different matter. I'm talking about the everyday, unpleasantness that happens between husband and wife, between in-laws, etc. And these things are normal; they happen. And yes, you could leave everybody and live on your own, and you might survive. But when you accept, the help that other people can offer you, and you also give to them what you have, then this is something that brings you sukoon and brings them sukoon, right? This is something that makes life easier and happier. And it's amazing how one person households are actually increasing, right? They're on the rise, that people are living alone independently without a spouse, right? Without a parent, without a sibling. These kind of households are actually on the rise. So this is because we have become completely intolerant of each other, and we are not willing to accept the help that others can give us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a healthy dependency amongst people. We need each other. Musa alayhi salam, he had certain needs, and this family also had certain needs. Don't expect people to be perfect, because just as you are imperfect, they are imperfect. And together, there's so much that can be accomplished. Another thing we see over here is Musa alayhi salam's dua is accepted so beautifully. He has a job. He has job security for 10 years. Secondly, he gets married, right? Thirdly, he is no longer in danger, right? Then we see that he has a home, right? Then we see that he has clear goals now. And you look at how lost he was before he made this dua. He didn't know what he was going to do, where he was going to go. He didn't know whether or not he was safe. And subhanAllah, look at how everything changed so quickly. So some people think that, you want to get married, make this dua, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. And that's excellent, right? Musa alayhi salam made this dua and he got married very soon. MashaAllah, excellent. But that's not the only thing that Musa alayhi salam did. He made dua, but at the same time, look at his actions. First of all, look at the fact that he offers help, right? He helps those who are in need. Then we see that when someone, wants to reward him, he doesn't become arrogant over there. That no, I didn't do this for a wage. Go away from here, right? No, someone is is trying to reciprocate. Musa alayhi salam is not arrogant. He accepts it gracefully, right? And then we see his honesty. We see his quwwah, his strength, his amana. So if we want our du'as to be accepted, then we have to do all of these things. We have to first and foremost offer help to people, right? Whatever help that we can. We have to make those connections. If you want to get married, for example, you have to actively do something to find someone, right? And you also have to actively, engage with people, not cut off from them. And engaging with people doesn't mean that you become who you are not, that you change your personality, that you become pretentious and fake. No, be real, be yourself, be honest, like Musa alayhi salam was. And when you do help people, when you do good to people, do that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Musa alayhi salam did. He knew that those two women were weak. They wouldn't be able to, compensate him. But he offered the help that he could. In a hadith, we learn that of the best deeds is to put a smile on the face of a believer, to pay off his debt, to fulfill some need of his, or remove some hardship from him. In another hadith, we learn that whoever removes a worldly grief from a believer, Allah will remove from him one of the griefs of the day of resurrection. And whoever alleviates the need of a needy person, Allah will alleviate his needs in this world and the hereafter. So sometimes we keep thinking that, poor me, I don't have this, I don't have that. And we forget to focus on what we can give. Start giving, right? Start making connections. Start thanking people. Start, offering whatever little that you can. And when you take those steps, then you are helping your situation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also help you, because Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves, right? But this doesn't mean that when you do offer help to people, you do it in order to get something out of them, right? That, okay, let's go, volunteer, in the MSA or in that Muslim organization so that maybe perhaps we will find a good person to marry. That should not be the niyyah. The intention should be that, yes, I want to volunteer here. I want to help over here for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You work sincerely for the sake of Allah, like Musa alayhi salam did. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send people to you who will be perfect for you, inshallah. Another thing we see over here is that now Musa alayhi salam is a shepherd, right? He's a shepherd for the next 8 to 10 years. And this is a very different, chapter of his life. Up until now, he was, in Egypt, raised by the family of Fir'aun in luxury. And now, all of a sudden, he's a shepherd in Madian, a small town, a small job, right? But remember, the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah did not send any prophet except that he cared for sheep, meaning every prophet was a shepherd. Even the Prophet ﷺ was once upon a time a shepherd. And we think that, this is something very demeaning, but this is actually a role that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose for his prophets. Why? Because by looking after sheep, the prophets learned many skills that equipped them to become better leaders, or to be able to lead their nations. Musa alayhi salam was going to do something extremely difficult. He was supposed to lead the Bani Israel. He was supposed to deal with Fir'aun. So he needed the skills to be able to do that. And where does his training happen? In Madian for about 10 years. And there are many lessons that we can take from this, and inshallah we will discuss that in our next class. The lessons or the skills that one can learn by tending to sheep. And inshallah we will discuss that in our next class. So we will conclude over here. If there's any questions that you would like to ask about today's class, please feel free to ask them. Inshallah, I can address them right now or in our next class, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.